Hello everyone, my name is Nordic Beast, and welcome to a tutorial on utility ships. Now, I have a couple of ships here that I've made that I'll go through and explain why I've made them the way they are. Now, utility ships are the backbone of your fleet, especially if you play survival. You're not going to get very far very fast without utility ships. Drill ships, grinding ships, welding ships, transport ships, you name it, they're important. So here's a couple of designs I've gone through. Now this is all vanilla, but I figure that would be the easiest to go with instead of relying on mods and what have you. So these first two, if you watch mine and Dracul's survival series, this here is Rosie, or Rosie the Riveter, and this is Grinder Girl. The only difference being is that they use actual cockpits. In the series, they use the azimuth cockpit, the open azimuth cockpit, and you could actually use something like this over here, which is a single seat with a remote block, and it works well. And I actually like the way it looks. It's very exposed, and you can see your guy and everything. But every time you sit, you have to go into the menu, look for the remote control block, and hit control, and then off you go. But it also uses a lot less parts. So in the beginning of the game, that is actually a really good way to go. I mean, look at this. There we go. I mean, you just need one interior, one computer, one motor, one construction component, and one internal plate. And then you look at this thing, 20 internal plates, 20 construction components. Compared to everything in here. Well, I guess it's a little bit more in the sense of the construction components and interior plates, but you don't have to worry about computers, displays, motors, stuff like that, as many as that's on there, or the bulletproof glass. But it's not as reliable. Well, the seat actually is pretty reliable, because if you look, as you build it, you can see at the bottom where it says 100% on the passenger seat, the line is really low, and it would actually take quite a while to break it down. So anyway, looking at Rosie and Grinder Girl here, she uses a single large cargo container with a large connector, the curved connectors, and then they go right into the actual drills or welders. With this particular model, I've got enough. I have 4 thrusters in the rear and the front, and then 2 in every direction otherwise, up, down, and side, and a single gyro. You only need 1 gyro for a grinding or welding ship, so you can be more delicate. And even with that, I mean, this is what, 8,000 kilograms, and I mean, it's slightly sluggish, especially if you're used to, say, a fighter, but it allows you to do more delicate movements, and then you could even turn that down further to do even more delicate maneuvers, especially when, say, you're constructing a ship and say you want to remove a part that you don't like and you want to be very, very delicate. You're going to want to turn down your gyro just to make sure. And like I said, these two are identical except for the grinders and welders, and you can always build your ship more complicated. There's no reason that they have to be this small, which I would say this is more of a medium size, but most people I see build 4 welders or 4 grinders, or maybe even 6, or a combination. There's nothing wrong with the combos, but I personally like having 2 separate ships. But that's just me. And actually these two, since I tend to park them near one another, the connectors are on the back, they just connect up and I can transfer parts just fine. And it's not that much of a hassle. So with these, I also have the lights on front, which I know it's going to sound a little weird, but the lights are imperative, especially if you're building, say, in an asteroid or behind an asteroid, say your meteors are turned on. These lights, invaluable. Absolutely invaluable. And then the antenna is really all you need. I don't tend to put a beacon on any of my utility ships. I put beacons on almost all my ships, except for the utility ones. They tend not to get far enough away to require a beacon, but if you feel the need, there's nothing wrong with erring on caution. So this little guy here is basically my example of as minimum as you can get. And it is simple. It's simply a medium cargo container, a connector, and a welder, which could also be a grinder if you wanted. Minimum amount of thrusters, just the 2 thruster clusters on either side, 2 reactors, the 2 lights, as I said, imperative, an antenna, and a gyro. That is it. I refer to this as my spot welder. Oh yeah. See? Again, this is what I meant by the remote control. It can be a hassle. But it's very simple. And I might add that those 2 parts build very quickly compared to the cockpit. And this is only a tiny bonus, but anybody can sit in any seat. So if somebody needs to charge and you have this ship around, pretty much anyone can charge on it. Alright, so next is my driller. Now you can build surface drillers, but this one here is actually a burrower. I see it actually burrowed this hole right here, which is why there's debris floating around. I had to give it a test. Now this one is relatively simple. Let me go ahead and take a look on the inside here. It is 3 medium cargo containers, all back to back to back, with a single connector on the back. And as you see, I have the tubing coming out the side, and they split into the 4 drills. I have 2 reactors up here, and then back here I have a jumpstart reactor. That's all this thing needs. It has the 6 thrusters that you see back here, but 2 are turned off for an auto drilling function, which I will demonstrate. Oops, sorry. So I'm going to go ahead and close this back up. Now, Keenhouse recently removed the drill bounce. The ships used to bounce around while drilling, and people would slap on a bunch of thrusters or a bunch of gyros. Dracul had explained to me that it was more about mass. You needed things that were heavy. So heavy armor was a really good way to go. And it still is for denting and things like that, because the ship bounces. Well, it doesn't really bounce, but while drilling can still slam into the rock, just from going through, and can dent and ding and damage. So heavy armor is still good, especially in certain spots. But this one I just went with light armor, for example. So as you see, it just has the 2 forward thrusters. You can add a remote control block and a camera if you wanted to. And actually, that's another thing about the spot welder. You could put a camera on the front and make it a remote spot welder. But back to the drill. You want everything behind the drill. If you look at the hitboxes here, it even covers the center, even though the hitboxes don't. And in between, obviously. So these actually go a little farther to either side than what you see here. So this is about as far out as you want to get. The single thruster should be fine though. And then I have a single gyro on it, which you could add more if you wanted, but the one is all you need. And I have an antenna and an ore detector. And of course the spotlights, which are turned all the way up, because it can get a little lonely while you're tunneling. So I'm going to try and do a thin part here. So that the auto mining function is literally the 4 drills, which are currently off, and then the 2 center thrusters that I showed you that were off in the back. I have them off and then turned up to half thrust. So when they do turn on, I'll go ahead and turn on our lights and hit auto mining. So as you see, the 2 center thrusters, like I said, are at half thrust, and off we go. And then you can just sit there and ride along for the ride. Another thing you can do is you can add a sensor that auto detects asteroid and shuts off the drilling. Well, it turns on the system when it detects an asteroid, and once it passes through it and no longer detects said asteroid, it'll shut off and it can wait for you. I've also seen people develop much more complicated ships that will auto-track an asteroid. So it'll stop, turn around, find the asteroid, and then continue drilling. That's a little complicated for my attention span, I guess you could say. I've done things like that before, auto-following ships, but, I mean, you're pretty much going to be with your ship all the time anyway. you're probably not going too far. Even in survival with my ship, I'm with it. Or if my home asteroid has something I really want, then I can send it off by itself, and then once it's done drilling and I hear it click off, I can just go get it. It's not important enough for me to have to turn it into a drone. So lastly is a transport ship. Again, if you watch me and Dracul's survival, he has the Carip, which I keep calling the Carnip for some odd reason, and then recently I started calling it the Catnip. But I took that. Well, I've done this before, but I took basically what he had done there and expanded on it. We have the 3 medium cargo containers, and of course the connector back here, which I actually may want to move these engines. Just go ahead and so take those out, put those right there. There we go. So it's a little bit better for the connector. And hell, we can even, just for aesthetic purposes, there we go. Doesn't look too bad. Anyway, we have the connector, 3 cargo boxes, so you can carry plenty of cargo inside. You've got 4 seats, 2 on either side, and then of course your pilot. And that is literally it. A ship like this can often be invaluable, just for moving parts, say from ship to ship, so you don't have to grab, one of your other utility ships, especially if somebody's using it. And not only that, if you're playing in a server or even your own room that is opened up to the public, you got lots of people, so you're all working together, and say you want to move just from point A to point B. Why grab a large cargo ship or multiple ships? Just hop on your little shuttle here and off you go. So this is basically just your utility cargo ship. That's all it is. And it can be very, very useful. Now, last thing I'm going to show you, I didn't build this earlier and I wish I would have thought about it, is actually for building. Let's see. Do it like this. And the idea behind this thing, once I get going, here we go, is to build something to hold a ship while you're working on it. So you just want to do something simple. So of course you are going to want landing gear. Oh, you know what? Here, do it like this. The mining carriage is the best example I can give. There we go. Yeah, that's right. Inward. I thought of it from looking at that ship. I built this in an older survival map. I had, just a personal survival map. And looking at the mining carriage, I thought, wow, this thing would be great for just holding ships in place. But the mining carriage is huge. I mean, you don't need something that big. So you just... There we go. And... Oh, come on, where is it? Oh, it's down here. Do the control block. Alright, good. Put that in there. So, really, from here you can just piece this together any way you want. At this point I'm just messing around thinking of how I would like this to look. And then go ahead and put your reverse thrusters on here. Again, just like the, mining carriage. Actually, 9. There we go. 9 again. just, again, very, very similar to the mining carriage. And we can go ahead and put... Ah! That was stupid. Remove that first. There we go, that's fine. And, you know, then just put in your gyro. Say a pair of those. And you have a very, very simple ship that can hold another ship in place. And actually, you'd probably want to put on a couple of extra gyros, group them together. You want to group them together, and then just turn them on when need be. You'll go ahead and just lock onto something and then turn on your gyros to hold them into place. So go ahead and hop in here, give you an idea. And then remote control. Yeah, look at how nimble that thing is. And maybe another reactor or something. But you just fly over. And then you could even set your landing gear up front there to auto grab, but there we go. Grab to hold. I can even, and this thing even has dampeners turned on, and I can move this thing around. Now, I know it doesn't seem like, there we go, just go ahead and let go. I know it doesn't seem like this would be overly useful, but I have found a million uses for a ship just like this. Say, again, you're grinding down a ship. Lock onto it with this. You will hold it in place. Not perfectly, especially if it's a large ship, but a lot better than if you didn't, and it would be floating around. You can even build a large ship like this, a similar concept to this, and be able to hold things into place. I've also built something, or removed something from, say, a cargo ship that I really liked, and then attached it to a ship of mine instead of grinding it down and rebuilding it. And it was a bit of a challenge moving it with one of these. So that's just something to think about as another utility ship. So that's pretty much it. I really hope this has helped. And if you enjoyed it, please subscribe or hit that like button, and I will see you guys next time.